session about 5 major impacts of GST on e-commerce industry. I am Chandan Goyal, co-founder and CEO of Blue Consulting Private Limited, which is a tax expert in managing the tax compliance of companies across pan-India level. In the last 12 years, we have worked with more than 100 companies in pan-India level, and we are a strong team of 110 people. So in today's session, we are going to discuss 5 major impacts of GST on the e-commerce industry. If you are aware, in the last few months, the e-commerce industry was lobbying very hard for relaxation or reduction of certain provisions which were introduced in the model GST law. But looking at the current text of the GST bill which has been passed in the lower house of the parliament, it doesn't seem that much of their demand has been met. So what are the impacts which are going to have on the e-commerce industry, which you should be aware so that you can proactively manage that and be ready for that. So let us first understand the definition of e-commerce and e-commerce operator, which is mentioned in the GST law. Earlier in the model GST law, there was a very different definition, but in the current GST bill which has come out, it has been refined and it has been widened also. So what is electronic commerce? Electronic commerce means supply of any goods or services including digital products over any digital or electronic network. And what is an e-commerce operator? An e-commerce operator means any person who owns, manages or operates any electronic or digital network for the electronic commerce. So if you look at the definition or the contours of the definition, it covers largely all formats of the e-commerce operator, be it Amazon, be it Snapdeal, be it Ola, be it Furnish, any kind of format you name it, and it is covered in that. However, the impacts which we are going to discuss today may not be applicable to all kind of e-commerce operators, so I'll point out where it is relevant for a particular kind of e-commerce operator. So the 5 major impacts which we are going to discuss today are: number 1, responsibility of collection of tax from the sellers; number 2, filing of return and matching of data; number 3, furnishing of the information within 15 days; number 4, the compulsory registration requirement of the sellers; and the number 5 is the stock transfer will be taxable. So let us start with our first major impact, which is going on the e-commerce industry. The first major impact is that GST is making the e-commerce operator liable to collect tax at source from the suppliers who are selling the goods or the services or the digital products using their platform. So what is that provision? So now every e-commerce operator needs to collect the tax at the rate 1% on the net value of the taxable supplies, all the goods and services which are supplied through its platform, and where the payment is collected by the e-commerce operator. So there is a very big difference that it is not going to apply to all the e-commerce operator. It is only going to apply in 2 conditions. One, where there are suppliers who are selling their goods or services through using the platform of the e-commerce operator. And second, where the payment is collected by the e-commerce operator. So if payment is not collected by the e-commerce operator will not be liable to collect the tax of 1% from the net taxable supplies using their platform. So what does it mean? There are a lot of retailers who owns their own website or their own platform through which they are making the sale. So in that case, it will not be applicable, because in any case they are discharging the tax liability on their own. So looking at the volume and the growth of the e-commerce and the suppliers which are registered on the e-commerce platform, this 1% tax which is going to be deducted by the e-commerce operator, it is going to be a huge administrative task for the e-commerce operators. So now we come to the second and third major change, which is linked to the first change. The second change is that the e-commerce operator would be required to file a return and matching of the data. Third would be the furnishing of return within 15 days. So what is the second change? The second major impact is that apart from the 1% deduction which they need to do, they would be required to deposit this tax to the government department within 10 days from the close of the month. Now the story doesn't end here. The e-commerce operator will also be required to file a monthly statement by 10th of the next month, which will contain following information. Number 1, all the details of the supplies which has been made effective through their platform during the month. Second, all the returns which has come through their platform during the month. And third, all the cash or all the amount which has been collected during the month. And in addition to this monthly statement or monthly return so called, the e-commerce operator would also be required to file an annual statement within 9 months from the close of the financial year, which is 31st December of every month. So it is going to increase a lot of work at the end of the e-commerce operator. So the story again doesn't end here. The third leg of the major change is that now the tax authorities can demand the information from the e-commerce operator in the following manner, or the following information can be asked by the tax authorities. Number one, all the supplies made through its platform during a particular period for a particular supplier. The second is the stock of the goods which is being maintained in the warehouse or the godowns which are being managed by the e-commerce operator and which has been declared as a place of business by the supplier while having their GST registration. And this information which the tax officer would or the tax authorities would demand needs to be supplied within a certain frame or certain period of time, which means 15 days. So within 15 days they need to supply this information, failing which the tax authorities can levy a penalty of up to rupees 25,000. So look at the volume and the growth of the e-commerce industry and then imagine what kind of administrative work is going to be done by the e-commerce industry to comply with all these changes. So now we come to the fourth major impact of the GST on e-commerce industry, which is again a very big change, that now there is a compulsory registration requirement for all the suppliers who are interested to sell their goods or services using the electronic commerce platform like Amazon, Flipkart or Snapdeal. So what does it mean? It means right now there are a lot of small scale suppliers, be it housewives, be it students, be it retired people or even small scale vendors who doesn't want to get registered because they are not making the supplies worth of a major amount. Say they are only supplying for 2 lakhs, 50,000, 10 lakhs. But now, as per the provision of the GST bill, the amount will not matter. So anybody who want to even supply, maybe for just to test the waters for maybe 10,000 rupees through an e-commerce operator, he or she need to take that registration. So it is for the, and we all know that the majority of the suppliers of the vendors who are registered on these e-commerce platforms are small scale vendors and from the 2-tier and 3-tier cities across India. So now they will not be motivated enough to register themselves and then sell through even for a small amount of goods or services. So what impact it will have, it will either reduce the number of vendors in the taxable supplies which are being made through the e-commerce operator, or e-commerce operator might choose and it may ask the small scale vendors for up to a certain amount that we will take care of the compliance requirement, we'll get you registered, we'll file the returns on behalf of you. But that itself will going to take a lot of work again at the e-commerce operator and it will lower their operating margin and profitability in a big way. Now we come to the fifth major impact of the GST on e-commerce operator. The fifth major impact is the taxability of the stock transfer. So what happens in today's scenario, the e-commerce operators are owning a lot of warehouses and godowns across the states. And if right now there is a demand for a particular goods in a particular state, then they supply from one state to another using the Form F and they need not to pay any kind of tax and they can move it freely. But enter GST, all the such stock transfer would be taxable and the tax needs to be paid. So this will require infusion of working capital to the tune of the taxable amount or the tax amount, which will again dent on their profitability, dent on their operating margins. Though it can be to a certain extent can be mitigated through an effective supply chain management, but that itself would require a lot of investment in the technology and the infrastructure. So these were the 5 major changes or the 5 major impacts which are going to be there on the e-commerce industry. I hope the information shared in this session was useful to you. If you have any questions or any queries related to the impact of GST on e-commerce industry, please feel free to contact us or send us an email, or you can also visit our website, which is www.blueconsulting.co.in. Thank you so much.